Welcome to this Fundamentals Lesson Plan series on roofs, layout, design, and editing. In this video, we'll take a look at creating an extruded roof by defining an open profile to be extruded along a path. With that, this is video 1 of 9. This is one of the longer series. My name is John Harridge, and I'll be your host for today's lesson. Let's look at the learning objectives for video 1. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to create a reference plane to host a roof profile sketch. Next, we sketch an open profile of the roof on that reference plane. Once the sketch has been converted to a 3D roof element, we will clean it up by applying join techniques to project the roof to appropriate wall boundaries. And then the last step is to trim the walls underneath to the underside of the roof profile. With that, let's get started. Let me begin the exercise by showing you a preview of what we'll be working towards in this exercise. In this exercise, we'll be creating an extruded roof profile between the garage and the main part of the house on top of the breezeway that connects the two spaces together. Again, this is one of the roof techniques that's used. And we will design that profile in a section view on the right-hand window that you see there. And then the last part of this process is to clean up the walls so they tuck underneath the inside edge of that roof. That concludes this instructor preview. Let me go ahead and close out the file, and we'll move on to the hands-on part of the exercise. To begin this exercise, let's go ahead and open up an existing file. Go ahead and click Open. Navigate to your tutorial directory. And let's open up the Roofs 01 exercise file. So this is the starting point of a series of roof creation exercises using the same data set. And the first thing that we'll do is create an extrusion across that breezeway that I showed just a moment ago. Let's go ahead and open up the level 1 plan view. And just note that there's already a section across that breezeway and also a reference plane. So a reference plane will actually host the roof sketch that we're soon to create here. And notice that it's also named, and it has the name breezeway. All right, so let's go ahead and locate the roof tools. Those are found on the Architecture tab in the Build panel. The roof tool has a pull-down menu associated with it. Go ahead and left-click to bring that up, and let's go ahead and choose Roof by Extrusion. The first thing that we need to do is establish the plane that we're going to host the sketch on. So we do that by making this assignment on the plane field and choosing breezeway as the named reference plane, and then clicking OK to continue. Go ahead and open the default view that's selected in the top window. And the question is, what level datum is the roof sketch going to be associated with? Let's go ahead and select level 2 and click OK to continue. Next is to define reference planes to help guide us with designing the roof sketch. So we want to place a reference plane just outside the walls. So we go to the work plane panel, select the reference plane tool. We're going to use the line mode method. And we're going to hover to acquire that context off the center line of the wall. And we'll actually use a specified value. Go ahead and enter in 1 space bar 6 to create a 1 foot 6 inch offset, and then left click to accept, or hit the enter key, to accept that value as the start point. and then drag your cursor down and create an endpoint just below level 1. Let's go ahead and repeat the process for the left wall. Again, using a hover technique, enter in 1'6", hit the enter key to accept that as a starting point, and then left click to set the endpoint just below level 1. Let's go ahead and select modify to end the placement process. The next thing that we need to do is establish a vertical reference plane for the peak of the roof sketch. So let's actually restart our reference plane tool, and anywhere along the level 2 datum plane there, go ahead and create a vertical reference plane line, and then select the modify tool. And then what we'll do is we'll create a continuous dimension string to create an equal constraint to make it truly in the center. So on the annotation tab, start the aligned dimension tool. Left click to start the dimension series from the wall, and then left click on the vertical reference plane, and then left click on the right wall. And once the dimension string has been placed by left clicking, go ahead and left click on the EQ icon to actually apply the equalization constraint. Go ahead and select modify tool to end the process. Let's create one more reference plane horizontally to establish the eave line of the roof sketch. So start the reference plane tool again and go ahead and visually construct a reference plane at this location. Select modify to end that creation process, and the next thing that we want to do is actually name the reference plane. So if you place the reference plane as selection set in the properties palette, you can actually give it the name horizontal, and that name will also appear in the view. After you give it a name, go ahead and select modify. We have everything in place to create our roof sketch now. So return back to the draw panel, pick up the line tool, and now we'll actually start the sketching process. So just pick a point at the intersection here to begin the line work. Go ahead and select the intersection at the peak, and then select the intersection on the right hand side of the sketch. Once those two lines are in place, that's all we need to create the sketch. Go ahead and select modify. Let's just confirm that the two sketch lines are actually connected. So I'll select the left sketch and then select the right sketch. And it looks like they all are co-joined, if you will, at the peak. So we're in good shape. Let's go ahead and convert the sketch to a 3D roof element. So click on the Finish Edit mode, and there's our roof generated. Let's take a look at this in a 3D view. So from the Quick Access toolbar, go ahead and select the 3D view, and then just selecting the roof that we created from that sketch, you'll notice that it starts at that reference plane that we created and then goes to the near extents of the house, and so that's not desirable. There's actually a special tool that can help us with that. There is a normal join geometry tool, but there's also a specialized one for roofs that we want to take advantage of. So go ahead and start the join unjoin roof tool in the geometry panel. And the idea here is we want to select the roof edge first and then choose the wall surface as the projecting boundary. So left click to select the roof edge, and then left click once you hover and acquire that wall surface, and it will project that roof surface to that wall edge. So that cleans up that end of the roof. Let's move over to the near edge and repeat the process again. So using the roof join unjoin tool again, select the roof edge, and then you'll probably have to use the orbit tool to spin the model around, and then select the projecting wall surface. So in this case, it almost acts like a cutting tool, and it cleans up that roof edge nicely to that wall boundary. So the last task is to clean up the wall so it projects to the underneath side of the roof envelope. So to pick up on that task, let's open up the section view again. And walls have a similar cleanup tool. They have what's called an attach tool, and it's found from a context sensitive menu. So when you place the wall in the selection set, you'll see here in this contextual ribbon tab, there's the attach wall top base. So if I left click to start the tool and then select the roof as the projecting envelope to go to, it should work. It didn't work on the first try, so let me repeat the process. Select the wall, choose attach top base, and then select the roof as the envelope to attach to. That worked, and now I'll repeat the process again for the other wall. And that cleaned up nicely. Let's return back to the 3D view just to make sure everything is clean, and it looks that way. No walls projecting through the roof. Looks good. All right, let's do a file save as, and we'll give it the name roofs 01 exercise finished. Click save after you give it a name. This concludes this exercise. Let's take a look at next steps. Let's review the learning objectives for video 1. In this lesson, you were able to create a reference plane to act as design aids for constructing a roof profile sketch. Then we created an open profile sketch of the roof that we were seeking on that reference plane. We then converted the sketch to a 3D roof element and then used cleanup techniques using the join unjoin tool to project the roof to wall boundaries. And then the last task was to project the walls to the underneath side of the roof envelope. With that, let's take a look at Autodesk resources that are available to you. I would like to make you aware of two Autodesk resources. The first resource is the Autodesk Education Community, where you can access free software for both students and educators for titles like Autodesk Revit featured in this series. The website address is www.students.autodesk.com. Registration is required to access the free software using either your personal email address or your school-issued email address. The second resource is the Autodesk Digital STEAM Workshop. It's hands-on, project-based learning across multiple industries such as architecture, engineering, and entertainment. The website address is www.digitalsteam.autodesk.com. Registration is required to download the free learning resources using your Autodesk ID created from the Autodesk Education Community. You will find the Fundamentals of Architecture series under the Subject pull-down menu, Architecture link. Assets include step-by-step instructions, datasets, and videos. This concludes this exercise. Thank you very much for watching.